I'm Chef Carolynn Spence, and you're listening to Ingredient Insiders.
This is Ingredient Insiders. I'm John Magazzino.
And I'm Andrea Parkins.
On each episode of Ingredient Insiders, we will be talking with chefs, authors, and food lovers about their favorite ingredients.
We then speak to the producer of that ingredient to learn about its history, how it's made, and why chefs love to use it in their kitchens. Today,
we are in Hollywood, California, Los Angeles.
All the paparazzi following us, John?
I know, I had to wear my sunglasses because of all those camera flash bulbs going off.
We're at such a cool place.
Well, this is the legendary Chateau Marmont. Am I saying that right?
Yes,
Marmont. This is this ultra exclusive hotel nestled up in the Hollywood Hills. And we are here talking today with an amazing chef.
Chef Carolynn Spence.
She is the executive chef of the hotel, and we're going to be talking about Calabrian chili peppers.
I am obsessed with Calabrian chili peppers.
Yeah, well, let's just say, you and I went to Calabria together just to check out how they're made and where they grow. We're going to be talking with Gianpaolo Celli. Gianpaolo and his family started a company called Tutto Calabria, and they kind of cornered the market on Calabrian chilies.
Yeah, they put it on the map in the U.S.
And then they started producing our very own Bellaria Calabrian chili pepper line. We have a full line of these amazing Calabrian chili peppers. These are something very near and dear to me because my mother's side of her family came from Calabria. And, I grew up when my grandparents were still alive. I would go to their home here in, the New York area, and I would eat, these flavors, the Italian food, very different from my father's side of the family, which came from Campania. That was more of like tomato and mozzarella. This was much more of a seafood with peppers, not as much of what we think of today as like Italian American. But there was always this distinct flavor, which I never really thought about much until more recently, these Calabrian chili peppers became very popular in the United States. And as soon as I had that taste again, it brought back many memories of Grandma Nancy's house.
Wow.
And so it's something very near and dear to me. I love Calabrian chili peppers.
Absolutely. I remember when we were there, we drove, I guess it was about like an hour outside of Calabria to that church.
Yes.
And we got to see your family's name.
Very emotional for me.
Yeah.
It was, we were in the town of Acre, which is where my mother's father and mother came from. And his name, totally unexpected. We just happened to be in this town and his name was on a plaque in the church and brought back a lot of memories. So I am so excited to talk about Calabrian chili pepper. This is going to be a great episode.
Can't wait, John. This episode is in partnership with The Chef's Warehouse and produced by Gotham Production Studios.
Today we are recording from a hotel lobby. Can you believe that, Andrea?
Well, we're not at any hotel lobby,
No,
John.
this doesn't look like a lobby. I just learned from our guests today that we're actually in the lobby. And
like kind of like sacred ground.
I almost feel like it's a living room or a parlor. It's this incredible, historic room. I'm looking at these like wood beams on the ceiling and these chandeliers that are hanging in the middle of the room.
Kind of gothic-y.
Yes, I was going to say gothic, and like there's a patina to everything here. Anyhow, we are in Hollywood, in the heart of Hollywood, at the Chateau Marmont Hotel. Am I saying that right?
You are.
Okay. And we are with Chef Carolynn Spence, who's the executive chef of this hotel. Carolyn, this place is incredible.
Yeah, it's beautiful. Very old world Hollywood.
You're a Jersey girl, a woman from New Jersey. How did you end up here?
I have no idea.
Yeah, it's crazy. It's a crazy place.
Tell us a little bit about this place. There is a crazy amount of history here. There's, celebrity and life, death, as we know. Like, tell us about it.
Well, the phrase is, if you must misbehave, do it at the Chateau Marmont. But, it's gone through a whole lot of waves over, almost the last 100 years. It was really run down at one point and then lifted up again by, new owners over and over. And then the current owner just basically invested in it to bring it back up to the feeling and vibe and celebration of Hollywood, the opulence of all of it.
It's stunning.
It's absolutely
you
beautiful.
can feel the history when you walk in the door.
Like, I wish if the walls could talk, like that saying, I feel like here there would be a lot of talking.
What do you think it would say?
A lot of debauchery.
Yes, a lot of sin.
Nice. So we're going to talk about an ingredient that for me is very personal and I love. It's personal because my family's from the south of Italy, and you chose Calabrian chili peppers.
I was so excited when I got your
Yeah.
email. Like, you gave 3, choices or whatever, and I texted John in big letters, Calabrian Chilis with the heart emoji. I was so excited. Why did you choose it?
It's funny. Can I curse on this?
Yes.
Yeah.
Okay, because even when we have it, usually we label it just Calabrian fuck yeah. Because it's literally how you feel when you eat it. It's
Yes.
just one of those things where it just does this thing and you're like, God, it's so good. Like, it's like there's an intensity, a smoky, there's the flavor. And it's one of those ingredients which is kind of like almost like wine. When you have something and it immediately makes you crave something else with it, like it pairs just naturally. So on top of the adrenaline, it really makes you want like a collection of different foods that you can already think about. Like, okay, I need avocado right now, or
Eggs.
I need sardines, anchovies, dry oregano, like something. It just makes you drive right to an ingredient, and that's what thrills me when I eat or drink anything.
I like the
love
word adrenaline that you just used, like that it brings that out, like that excitement or, I don't know, like that zest that, you get, I guess, when you get excited about eating.
Yeah,
that brings that to you.
Certain things, like I always find it with oil, things that are oily almost have a tendency to do that. Like the fat from like seared foie gras kind of does that thing to you, or like duck fat, or the sardine oil, all the good olive oils. There's something about those type of things that kind of create this, I don't know, like an endorphin rush or something.
Sometimes when you eat the whole Calabrian chili peppers, one thing is they're beautiful just visually when they're whole with the little green stems and tops. But sometimes when I eat them out of a jar, they can be hot
Really
sometimes.
hot,
Not
yes.
always.
Yeah.
Sometimes they're, I think the longer they sit in the jar, maybe they kind of mellow. But I always find myself reaching, and it's almost like a Dorito. You're like, you can't just have one when you put one in your mouth. And it is that oil and the way it feels and the way it tastes. That's so fun. So what kind of stuff? Andrea mentioned eggs. I love Calabrian chili
I
peppers
have
on
it
eggs.
every morning on my eggs. Like, I'm
Yes.
not like lying, or every morning it's on my eggs.
How do they find their way onto the menu here at Chateau Marmont?
Well, I just got here.
We have to talk about that.
So
Just got here, meaning in the last 2 decades.
true. I just came back. The bags are not really unpacked yet. So
Wait, let's go.
Let's talk about like your journey a little bit.
Let's take a time capsule here. So I mentioned earlier you grew up in New Jersey.
yeah,
Where did you start cooking?
Boston, Chris Lessinger.
Yes.
Yeah.
Awesome.
And thank God I did. He's amazing. Like, that whole experience was the best.
But you started out as a advertising journalism major, and then it's in my research.
Andrea calls it research, but she's actually
I'm actually stalking.
She's a stalker. But go ahead, Andrea.
It said that you had this internship that was like a kind of a pivotal moment for you.
Well, I was going to school for journalism advertising on a scholarship for women's rowing as well.
Oh, cool.
So it was very intense, but it was also intensely into something that I suddenly decided it was not my future and not what I wanted. And I didn't know what I wanted, but I knew I liked 3 things. I liked food, I like rock and roll, and I like animals. So I was like, which one do I get into? And I ended up going into food because I thought it was the most versatile.
Everyone has to eat.
And there's
Yeah.
a little bit of the rock and roll element
And,
in the world of
I'll be honest,
cooking.
I was a crazy little punk rocker, too.
Yeah.
So it kind of fit my lifestyle, like that subversive thing. I could be who I wanted to be instead of wearing, the suit and stuff. It just wasn't my thing. It never
Sure.
was. So it kind of just immediately found me, and I fit right in, and I never looked back.
You were in Boston. Then was the next stop New York?
Yeah, then I moved over to New York and started working with Bobby Flay.
Mm-hmm.
Kind of just figuring out where I wanted to cook, and I kind of fell into that and enjoyed it. Right, found a really nice crew there. At one point, it was all women cooking together. It was awesome.
Wow.
Yeah, it was really unusual, especially in a New York kitchen.
Right.
Yeah.
So it was Bobby, and then you kind of like a lot of like superstars. You were at Blue Smoke.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I opened AZ Restaurant, which was Patricia Yo.
Sure.
Yeah.
That was like a crazy 3-star bonanza. That was chaotic. Yeah, we opened Blue Smoke, opened Spotted Pig. Probably a few in there. I can't remember. 'Cause
Yeah.
It's been a while.
But what? So you, and then you came here.
Yeah.
And what was that? I mean, that's a big trip.
Yeah, I had some guy call me on the phone and tell me he was like, I need a chef for this rock and roll hotel downtown LA. And I was like, I don't know what you're talking about.
Yeah.
Right.
And I was like, it's not downtown LA. But I've never even been to LA, you know. So I was like, all right, let's go. I took some interviews, and a month later, I'm living in LA.
Wow.
Yeah.
What year was this?
2006.
So you've been here quite a while. Now, you did leave.
Yeah, I've been here. I was here about just over 9 years. But you know, it's funny because it seems like a long time, but the kitchens have gone through a lot. It was like an electric kitchen, and we got to turn into gas, and like we've gone through a lot of evolutions. So
you went to Seattle, right?
yeah, then I moved to Seattle.
And what was the, I mean, you opened kind of your own place.
No, I went over there because I just decided I wanted to go live in a new city and check it out. That's the best way,
Yeah.
immerse yourself. So I went over there and found a place that needed a chef, and it was a Kimpton hotel. And I went over to work with them
Okay.
and did a little seafood over there, a few blocks from Pike Market, and did that for a few years. And then COVID, so everyone knows
That thing happened.
Yeah, I
Yeah.
remember that.
So I'm, a year or so that I don't remember anymore.
So the hotel is, I think you guys said, about 63 rooms.
Mm-hmm.
Breakfast, lunch, and dinner here.
Yep.
Room service. You're doing it all. I
Yep.
get this. This is almost
Banquets.
like, this isn't obviously not a normal standard hotel. Like, this is kind of like,
I think we should
I feel
talk
like-
about what it is. Like,
okay, tell me,
you know-
Andrea.
No, I want you.
Oh, I don't know.
No, I mean, this hotel is, it isn't, you come and you stay for, a couple of nights. I mean, I guess you could, but there are people who have actually lived here for many of years. It has housed many of celebrities. I know it was a place for a lot of New York celebrities to come and live or stay when they're doing like stints or filming in LA. Celebrities have died here.
Are people asking for like to be served food in their rooms like on a regular basis?
Oh yeah, we do room service regular. A lot of studios and stuff will put up the stars or whoever it is for these rooms too.
Nice.
But yeah, there's a lot of long-term stay. But yeah, they there are kitchens. Bourdain used to love cooking himself eggs in one of those bungalows all the time. And I think that was the nice thing. Sometimes you don't have to see anybody. You can make the choice.
A lot of privacy.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And is the food here, are you getting a club sandwich here or is it, are you coming here and you're having, a special kind of cuisine?
Like, do you have to be ready for anything, essentially? Like, if someone wants something, it's like, we're going to make it?
I mean, we're in the hospitality industry,
Sure.
right? So we try our best within reason.
Yeah.
It is a very small kitchen for this space. So you do whatever you can. But yeah, I mean, I would love to put a club sandwich on for lunch soon. But, 'cause there's something to be said about a really good club sandwich.
Absolutely.
Especially
Talk to
when
me.
you travel, right? Like when you land, you're like, that's perfect. Like I just landed from a really long flight food, right? So there's
Yeah.
things you need to think about, whether it's a hotel or a restaurant. You still have to have that certain type of hospitable food that, you have to have a burger. It's got to be good. It doesn't have to be challenging. It can just be delicious,
Agreed.
Yeah. Okay, Calabrian Chilis. We've talked about, so like I said I put them on my eggs. I also mix them with mayonnaise a lot. I don't know how you feel about mayonnaise. I'm like,
Yes. They're great mixed in mayonnaise. It's great mixed with honey
yes.
and a little hit of truffle oil or something. It just sort of a fun little thing.
Yeah.
You could put it honey like on pizza, like a Calabrian chili honey on pizza.
A little prosciutto.
I'm the prosciutto queen, so you can never say, I'll never say no to prosciutto. How else do you like it, John?
I love the simplicity of the Calabrian chili peppers, especially right out of the jar. either the puree or even the whole, but just with pasta, just like a simple pasta, a little garlic, olive oil, and then a tablespoon added to the pan and just toss. I think it takes the food to a whole other place.
Mhm.
I've started adding Calabrian chilies to marinara, just like regular marinara sauce. It gives it, it's almost like an arrabbiata kind of spiciness to it. And depending on how much you add, it can be just a very subtle background thing that you don't know is going on, or you can really add some heat to the dish.
Yeah, I've done that, and then a big dollop of fresh ricotta.
What's interesting about Calabrian chili peppers is I grew up, 2 of my grandparents were born and raised in Calabria. And when I was a young kid, going to those grandparents' house always had this distinctive kind of flavor to the food, which I wasn't aware of at the time. But I just knew that that was my grandma Nancy's house. And then my dad's parents were from the Naples side of Italy, a little further north. And their food was much more of what, all of us would associate with like Italian American food, like really great marinara, meatballs and lasagna and that kind of thing. But the Grandma Nancy food, I, as a kid, always thought it was a little bit different. Not sure I loved it. But as I got older and Calabrian chili peppers started to become popular, and I'm talking about like 10, not even 15 years ago, I remember tasting them, and this whole thing was like, oh, that tastes like Grandma Nancy's food.
Like a nostalgic moment?
Yeah, but I was like, oh, and it really was like, I like these. And I was like, that was the flavor of Grandma Nancy's house, which at the time, again, I wasn't familiar or comfortable, but I totally recognized that was in so much of her food. So it could have been in any kind of, even like with fish or anything like that. Or my grandfather used to make homemade like sopressata, and I'm sure, I don't know how he was doing it. Like he was taking dried ones or putting it into the
He was
the
like
meat
curing.
blend. Yeah.
Wow.
Yeah, real Italian.
I didn't know
It's like
that.
curing in the basement. Oh,
Wow.
yeah.
Did you grow up like, because you kind of came to cooking as a young adult?
Mm-hmm.
Was food important in your upbringing and your family?
Just catching seafood because of Jersey Shore. We used to have a boat. So that's the one good thing I had was, catch and eat it. So, but on the Calabrian thing, I was talking to my friend who's Sicilian, and I was asking her what she thought, and she said she uses it in any non-cheese based pastas that she uses. But she also said something which I always find romantic when people say certain things, and she said she likes to scissor it onto pizza.
Oh, I like that.
And I was like, oh, I just love the idea of like someone sitting there just snipping it into the right spots.
Yeah, I love that too.
Yeah, that's awesome.
Do you guys feel that Calabrian chili peppers are a relatively like recent phenomenon in the U.S.?
Yes.
I mean, it's like they weren't, when you were Bobby Flay, which he used a lot of, peppers and
Yeah,
and
I don't
things.
remember
They
Calabrian
weren't really
chili there.
around, right?
No, I feel like it's like in the last decade.
Yeah. Who knows where my grandmother was getting them back then? Maybe she had cousins sending them over. But, there's one brand, Tutto Calabria. There's a guy named Paolo in Italy, very small company, but he's kind of like brought the pepper to America. And whether we're here in LA or in New York or Chicago, like the Calabrian pepper is ubiquitous on menus today. And I think it's due to Paolo and like Tutto Calabria.
Yeah, I don't remember like my grandfather, was Sicilian, and I don't remember growing up. He used to take me to this Italian market called Datillo's in Northeast Philadelphia, and I can sit here and smell the provolone like hanging and just all the fresh pastas and meats, but I don't remember Calabrian chilies like ever, like it wasn't
As
even
being a
on
thing.
the on my radar.
Yeah.
Yeah, agreed.
I wonder like what that like was it Tutto Calabria?
I think so.
That's pretty cool.
I think they were here and chefs started to recognize it, like Carolyn, and they've become something that people just crave and can't get enough of. Where else are you using them in your cooking?
Oh, that's a good question. I mean, I just kind of throw them everywhere.
Yeah.
Because I just like that heat. But the problem is not all customers like that heat. It can be a bit much. But, if I'm putting it into like, because I think the intensity and the beauty of it is that it does something to the oils that it's in. And it makes the oil itself magic. So you can literally just finish with a drop of that and it goes so far too. But if you're making like, even like a Greek meatball or something, you need that little bit of leveling. You just add it right in and it's it's like gorgeous. And then, you can't even tell what it is. You just know that there's something that's hitting, and then you're going to have it again some other place. You're going to be like, it reminds me of something.
Yeah. There's definitely like a complexity of flavors. It's not just heat.
No.
It's not just smoke, but you mentioned those, two things. It's like, I love to take chicken, just cut up chicken, and toss it with a puree of Calabrian chili peppers and a little bit of oil and salt, and then just bake it in the oven. It's the most simple thing, but it creates this like kind of flavor that is unique and amazing.
I think it hits all the notes. Like, I do think there's some sweetness from the pepper. There's heat. There's, they sit in these vats, right? We saw those, John, and they're in this old like barn, and they have these enormous vats where they sit and they kind of cure. So there is like a little acidity there, and then like this richness. So I think it like hits a lot of different notes on your palate, which is why it's so exciting, or at least for me.
I think humans crave the like, they talk about like eating peppers and there's an endorphin release.
Adrenaline.
And when we talk about like the craze of like hot sauces and salsas and things like that, I feel like, again, if you go back a decade, maybe I was probably putting Tabasco or different types of hot sauces on things. Now for me, it's kind of shifted to, again, I was thinking as soon as you said, late at night, like if I'm going to have a slice of pizza late at night and I'm home and I'm reheating something or whatever, I will throw an egregious amount of Calabrian chili pepper puree on there and just bite into it. And it's adding heat, but it's like adding this flavor that I love. But I wonder if I'm also, because I know I'm going to kind of get this like endorphin effect.
Like a little
feeling
high,
good. Yeah.
almost.
Is that true? I don't know.
I think it is. What do you think?
I mean, it's a good way to make something mediocre fantastic.
Right? It just elevates it.
Yeah.
It's so true.
It's an easy way to elevate a dish. As long as you like a little bit of spice and heat. I couldn't agree more. It's the simplest way to add a complexity to a dish.
You were here for 9+ years. You left, and now you're back. Are you approaching it differently? Or like the menu, the experience? Like, are you coming in with new perspective?
Always, yes, of course. I mean, it was 7 years away, 7 years cooking somewhere else. But you age, you grow. I still think your palates change as you get older. Everything changes. Your perspective changes. After this couple of years, your perspective changes.
Absolutely.
And you have to think psychologically, what are people looking for all the time? Do they want to be challenged? Do they want something comforting and just good? Where are you going? What do we want to do here? What's the goal? So it's like I'm always trying to elevate and learn and evolve and try new things and see what works. But, the data tells me, like who's buying what and what's got them, you have to follow that as well.
Are there staples on the menu that have been here for X years that like this will never come off?
Bolognese.
Really?
Oh, yeah.
Is there a secret?
Maybe.
Yeah.
I mean...
You're always looking for the secrets, Andrea.
I want to know.
Get your little notepad out. What's going on there?
All right,
it's just tried and true. It's just like... But it has been here forever, and it's just one of those things where it would be weird if it was gone, know? Because sometimes it's another one of those comfort foods where you can, if you land, you can get, a bowl of bolognese here.
You know what's really good with bolognese? Calabrian Chili.
Yeah, you don't have to whisper that. You can shout it out. Say it loud.
Calabrian Chilis. So we ask every guest the same question. What are the 5 pantry staples you cannot live without? Or that we could, if I open your pantry
at
home, what would I see?
I would say sardines.
Okay.
Calabrian chili. Good olive oil. Fleur de sel or Maldon salts. And olives.
Olives.
Great answer.
Love them.
Like,
they're having a moment too.
They're all things that make something mediocre better.
Couldn't agree more. Well, this has been awesome.
Yeah.
Thank you so much for inviting us into this special, I'm going to call it an enclave. To call it the lobby is an injustice. But
this might be one of the most beautiful settings that we've ever recorded in.
Yeah.
For sure. So thank you.
Well, we are so pumped up today because we have two amazing guests with us, Andrea. Not just one today, two. And they're both from Italy.
Yep.
One is sitting right next to me to my right, the amazing German
Casati from Florence.
German, who's been with the Chef's Warehouse for what, German? Forever.
25 years.
25 years at the Chef's Warehouse.
Yeah.
He's one of our sales reps in Manhattan.
He is the person who goes out and brings in all of this great Italian flair to the Chef's Warehouse. And then joining us live from Calabria is Gianpaolo Celli, the founder of Tutto Calabria. And if you don't know what Tutto Calabria is, you've been living in a closet the last couple of years or under a rock or something, because Gianpaolo is the maker of the most amazing Calabrian chili peppers and products that use Calabrian chilies
In all of
their
Italy.
production. So welcome, German. Welcome, Gianpaolo. We are so excited here.
Absolutely. Thanks for being here. So tell us a little bit, Gianpaolo, about Tutto Calabria. How did the company start? When did it start?
Our company started in 1970 with my father, my dad. Started this company. We and I and my sister, Irene and Fiorella, my sisters, continuing to produce, to go ahead with this idea from my father, because he passed, unfortunately passed in young age.
Okay.
And we try to go ahead with this idea per far conoscere for now the chili pepper, Calabrian chili pepper in Italy and also in
to let them know the products, this chili pepper all over the world and in Italy.
So kind of keeping his father's memory alive.
Absolutely, absolutely.
That's so nice.
And unfortunately, he passed away when he was young.
So how did your father get into this business? I mean, I know that the weather in Calabria is why these peppers thrive, but how did your father get into it?
Ci stava chiedendo come è iniziato tuo padre e come mai ha avuto l'idea, perché il tempo, insomma.
My father started because my grandfather was a farmer, no? Farmer and a little farmer, and grow to chili in our area. And our chilies, particularly weather, is very good to grow this chili. And this chili is the taste is very good for to especially to preserve the chili in oil or in vinegar everywhere. And this is very important for the idea for my dad, no, for start this product, Calabrian Chili. This is very important too, because we try to have another type of the chili, but this is not possible, not compared with Calabrian Chili. Calabrian Chili, the weather and everything is very good to have this type of the taste. But we also have the family recipe. The family recipe is start with when we grow the chili, we make in the brine. This brine is the family recipe. It's very important to have this type of the brine to start for the final taste of the chili.
Let's talk about the history of the company. We'd love to know, Andrea and I would love to know more about the history and how the company started.
Gianpaolo, raccontami un attimino in breve la storia della tua ditta, come tuo padre di nuovo e come mai il clima è migliore per questa produzione dei vostri chili calabresi.
Allora, il clima calabrese, diciamo, rimane un clima adatto alla crescita del peperoncino, che viene coltivato in diversi posti della Calabria. Quindi, diciamo, c'è una tradizione che è centenaria per quanto riguarda il peperoncino in Calabria. È una tradizione che viene da centinaia di anni, in modo perché proprio per questo clima che è adatto per la crescita del peperoncino.
Gianpaolo,
e quindi da lì nasce.
Traduco un attimo. So Gianpaolo is telling me then the microclimate, the weather is so perfect for this kind of Calabrian chili, and that's make a big difference. It's probably also more stronger than regular. The intensity is definitely. And his father started. Actually, the grandfather was a farmer, and then his father had this idea because the product is so much superior than any other chili in Italy. They try to other chilies, but this is so much better.
I'm curious as how they decided to start doing business in the United States.
Gianpaolo, come avete deciso di fare business qui in America? Chi ha deciso? Tuo padre? Tu?
Abbiamo deciso, c'era ancora mio padre, e lui già aveva un'idea di fare conoscere anche il prodotto anche fuori dall'Italia, e quindi abbiamo avuto un'opportunità di partecipare a delle fiere come il Fancy Food di San Francisco o di New York, sì. E da lì è partita la nostra avventura negli Stati Uniti.
Traduco un attimo. So the father was still alive. He was very proud of this chili pepper, so he wanna really present it to the world. The United States was the perfect conduit for this product. They went to the Fancy Food Show and other shows in the United States, and the rest is history.
It seems like they're very popular in the last couple of years. What was it like when they first started, and why do they attribute that they're so popular today?
So Gianpaolo, mi stanno chiedendo come mai negli ultimi 2 o 3 anni sembra che siano molto più popolari, il prodotto molto più popolare di quello del passato. Insomma, c'è una ragione secondo te?
Noi abbiamo cercato di distribuire il prodotto, di farlo conoscere. Poi ci sono state delle recensioni di alcuni chef famosi che anche voi conoscete, insomma, come Bobby Flay o Giada De Laurentiis, che usano il nostro prodotto, che hanno fatto una pubblicità sul nostro prodotto e sul marchio Tutto Calabria, perché hanno trovato un prodotto di una qualità e di un gusto differente rispetto al resto, non dico al resto d'Italia, del mondo, sì. Insomma.
Perfetto, ora traduco. So basically, there have been a few chefs that were instrumental, like Bobby Flay, Giada De Laurentiis, to advertise this incredible product, spread the word.
They were
because
cooking with them on television.
Absolutely, and the quality is so different than any other chili peppers, and then they were blown away about the quality and the flavor. And
I've never tasted anything like a Calabrian chili.
It's different.
It is different.
It is different. It's much more pungent. It's much more spicy. And I don't know if I can say this little story. When I was 17, 18, I went to Calabria with a bunch of friends from Florence, so very different region.
So you grew up in Tuscany.
I grew up in Tuscany, in Florence, right? And Calabria is like about 7 hours driving.
So you're
south.
taking a little road trip with your buddies?
We are talking about 79, 78. So it was a big deal for us. We are young guys. We go there, and I always say, I like spicy food. But I didn't know about the Calabrian chili peppers. So we go in this restaurant, and they give us a very simple penne with pomodoro sauce and this Calabrian chili. It was my first time, the first time I really, experience. And I remember I couldn't finish it. And I felt so bad. And I had only one friend of us, only one. Then he was going around the table and finished for everybody because he loved it. I don't know. He had an incredible resistance to spicy, and I always like spicy food, but there's something special about this.
Absolutely, I find that it's the type of spice. I put it on everything. I put it on my eggs in the morning. I put it on pasta. Yeah. I've used it to make salad dressings. I've used it to make spreads for sandwiches.
Yep.
You name it, I've done it with Calabrian chili. I find it almost to be addictive. Like it's hot and it's burning my mouth, but I want more and I want more. And I absolutely love it.
Well, they say there's an endorphin release when you eat peppers. And I agree. I think it is addictive, and I'd use it exactly how you just described it. I love to rub it onto chicken, put it in the oven.
Gianpaolo Armont is talking about, how they grow in the fields, and I'm just curious about the growing season for Calabrian chilies, when they begin planting, when they start to harvest. Is it, I think about my trips to Italy, and the tomato harvest is once a year. Is the chili season the same way?
Great question.
Yeah, great question. Let me ask Gianpaolo. Gianpaolo, praticamente puoi spiegare dall'inizio alla fine come funziona l'harvesting, praticamente da quando lo pianti il prodotto a quando poi lo raccogli, insomma, tutto il procedimento.
Ok, il prodotto viene piantato con si fanno prima dai semi, nascono queste piccole piantine che vengono coltivate in delle apposite serre. Poi dopo da là vengono prelevate le piantine e vengono portate nei campi. Nei campi vengono coltivate nell'aria aperta. Questo nel mese di marzo-aprile cominciamo a fare questa coltivazione. Però prosegue anche dopo, anche nel mese di giugno e luglio. Dopo luglio non si può più fare questa coltivazione perché poi dopo non avrebbe più il tempo per crescere. E quindi il prodotto che viene coltivato a marzo viene raccolto ad agosto, quello che viene coltivato a giugno viene raccolto a novembre. Questa è la. Però il lasso di tempo dal primo diciamo
dalla prima coltivazione,
dalla prima volta che vengono. Dalla prima coltivazione all'ultimo raccolto parte da marzo a novembre.
Va bene, ora spiego.
Non so se.
Sì, ora spiego tutto.
Sì.
So basically, they're gonna start around March, right, with the little seeds.
With
they put the planting. Yeah. They're gonna be in a greenhouse for a couple of months, and then they're gonna. So whatever they plant on March, they usually get in August. If whatever they plant in April, May, they're gonna get in November. So basically, it's from March to November is they all, they have.
Yes.
So it's a long process.
Sure.
It's not like,
And what's the process, Herman, after they pull the peppers off the plant? Do they immediately go into any kind of drying or do they immediately go into brine, Gianpaolo?
Yeah, Gianpaolo, sì, praticamente hai capito quello che sta chiedendo, no? Come funziona dopo?
Sì. After the grow, the chili from the plant, no? It's correct. We put the chili in the brine. It's very important to have the right brine, and we change the brine after 1 month because the first brine is just for fermentation, and the second brine for preservation. It's very important. The first, it's very very important because in this period the chili is the fermentation process. It's very important to have the right fermentation to have the right preserve in the future, and also for the taste. This is very important. And we have the family recipe for this brine, for the first brine and the second brine. We have the family recipe on. This is just a little secret.
Segreto. So it's not just salt and water.
Non è solamente sale e acqua, insomma, no? Mi immagino.
No, we put also the vinegar, water, and the salt, it's very important to have the right
like
quantity.
the ratio.
And also and they also the right method.
Method.
Metodo, il giusto metodo, no? Come fare questa cosa.
Erman, how long do
Questo procedimento.
How long do the peppers ferment? When, after they, are in the brine, when can people begin to eat them?
Che Gianpaolo, quando metti questi prodotto nel brine, quanto ci vuole questa salamoia, come la chiami? Quanto ci vuole poi quanto ci vuole per finire per il prodotto finito?
Ci vuole minimum 30, giusto?
30 giorni?
You got it.
30 days. 30 days è giusto? 30, no?
Un mese, sì, un
30.
mese. 30. 30 days.
Okay. Minimum 30 days. Minimum 30. We prefer also 45.
Okay.
45 is better, but minimum 30. 30 is good.
Yeah, but you shouldn't say too many secrets, right? So
I didn't realize this was a fermented food. I always
didn't
just thought it
either.
was a pickled product.
Right. I thought it
in a
was just in
simple
oil.
brine and oil, and so that's really interesting.
well, I have to admit ignorance too. I didn't know myself.
That's awesome. And so they go from the brine and then into oil.
Yeah, sicché Gianpaolo, dalla salamoia cosa lo metti nell'olio? No.
No. Before to put the chili in brine in oil, we needed to have another process. This process is for distillation. This is very important.
So take some of the salt out. Okay.
If you put it's very salty, and we need to the salt, the product, and after the salt, also for the salt we use the family recipe water. It's not just water. We just have the spices, no? Just to have the taste. For the Calabrian chili, but no, everything is natural ingredient. Just because we have the analysis for our product every day, and this is very important to have the quality and also guarantee for all of the people. This is the all natural product. Yes.
This is a consistent product every single time. I mean, I had no idea that this was how, these were made. And now I'm hungry.
Yeah.
I want to go eat some. But this has been amazing, Gianpaolo. We really appreciate your time. You're an amazing partner to Chef's Warehouse. And if you are looking for any type of Calabrian chili product, you can find it at chefswarehouse.com.
Thank you so much. Grazie mille.
Grazie Paolo. Grazie.
Thank you, Herman.
Grazie Gianpaolo.
We also we produce to produce our product for Chef Warehouse, and we hope to every day grow our business, and every day for the quality also the Calabrian chili to know the more people, no, for more people in the US, and
we appreciate everything you do for us.
We'll see you soon at Fancy Food.
Ciao.
Grazie mille.
Thanks so much for listening to this episode of Ingredient Insiders. You can watch this episode on YouTube and see more behind the scenes content by following us. Find us on Instagram by searching @Ingredient Insiders.